Hey everyone, Navik here. Welcome to the start of the Kai-Sei era, a new era of Godzilla comics. And of course, it starts with a new ongoing thing. This comes to us courtesy for the creative team of Tim Seeley, who some of you might probably know from Grayson, aka that time where Dick Grayson worked for the spy organization Spiral. Artist is Nicolas Osamegia, forgive me if I mispronounced that, and colors by Francisco Segala. And so, what exactly is the Kai-Sei era of Godzilla? Well, essentially, Godzilla, like in a lot of timelines, Godzilla woke up in 1954 and changed the world, basically ushering in an age of kaiju. Kaiju, though, instead of nuclear energy, this version of Godzilla seems to be charged with something called Kai-Sei energy. It's basically kind of an all-purpose superpower thing, and I'll say this: I really dig the Kai-Sei look of Godzilla. He's definitely got. I can see definitely a mixture of different versions of Godzilla. A little classic Showa, some Millennium, some MonsterVerse, and even in some -1 influence. But of course, Godzilla isn't the main character of this book. Okay, instead, and our focus is on G-Force, or a superpowered task force that's meant to deal with kaiju. So, yeah, this version of Godzilla is basically kind of Godzilla meets '90s Stormwatch, specifically the Ellis and Jimenez era. And as someone who really digs that era, obviously, I'll tell you right ahead, really dug this book. And yeah, we get introduced to the Godzilla, used to G-Force, E-Force, which consists of Dr. Rumi Chiba, Eva, a psychic, like Nuki, a heavy weapons expert, or Incest, a pyrokinetic who's also a streamer. Their Commander Rivera, who is very gun ho and kind of jingoistic. And my boy Jet Jaguar. And yes, before you have to ask, he does retain his size changing abilities. So that's kind of awesome. This book is kind of drawing from all sorts of Godzilla eras. However, the main point of view character is Jason Braid, and immediately, when the G-Force is watching videos of him, I can already tell I'm gonna like this guy. He's got a hot-blooded attitude that's kind of reminds me of characters like Hot Blood Shonen. Kind of reminds me of characters like Koji Kabuto and Ryoma Nagare. And he impresses right out of the gate because he takes Godzilla's atomic breath, or I guess Kai-Sei breath in this instance. It's right to the face, leaps out of and punches Godzilla right in the foot. So he's what's known in this world as a G mutant, basically the humans who have been mutated by Kai-Sei energy. And Jason is considered the most powerful a G mutant that has ever existed, and of course, G-Force recruited him into their task force. And that gives us to the main action of the book. Which involves the arrival of Anguirus. The book does a really good job of setting up a bunch of character dynamics with the various teammates. It's Nikki not really being into anything, Incest being in it only for the fame, and there's obviously some tension between Rivera and Chiba. Jet Jaguar just being fun, and hell, even in Jason and his roommate Marco apparently are going to have a bit of a dynamic, especially because Marco is actually an infiltrator for Command, and to figure out just exactly what the hell is up with Jason. And there's some good superhero action, and we see a bit more of Jason's personality. While he is a bit hot-blooded, he is a quick study, learning. He's taking on the G-Force members, or is at a training session and spelling out their weaknesses and stuff. We also see that when he uses more Kai-Sei energy, his speech bubbles go from the regular white to more green, probably showing him channeling a bit more of Godzilla's energy. Then the main action of the book has and has G-Force going up against Anguirus. And it's here Rivera basically explains why they're sending super agents after kaiju instead of just tanks or jets. Because in his saying, when you attack them with a tank or a plane, you give them one big target. Or which, I mean, given the track record of tanks and planes in kaiju movies ending up being fodder for the monsters, it kind of makes sense. And I'll say this: while the action is good, I'm not too keen on. I really like the art. Not too keen on the coloring. And it feels washed out in some places, which might be which is kind of weird for a bright, colorful superhero action book. Look, but I could just be the locations they have us set up in. And yeah, during the fight with Anguirus, we see Ichiba's powers, where she senses that something's wrong with Anguirus, even after the G-Force manages to repel him. And after a bit more characterization from Jason, where we learn that he has abandonment issues because as his mother died without coming back, showing that he's not completely a hothead. And he ends up getting dragged into the death by some weird parasites, and we get some narration from an nation. You feel it, Rumichiba. Anguirus feels it. No doubt Godzilla does too. All of us connected in a burning Ouroboros, a circuit of lament. All of us changed by the emerald rage of the earth into instruments of vengeance. All of us family. And yeah, this is the big bad of this storyline. A kaiju capable of speech called Lament. Apparently that's a big major first for the Godzilla franchise, if you don't count out of some of the old Showa movies, is where they talked in speech bubbles, or Godzilla's Revenge. But yeah, that's where the book leaves off. So yeah, that's Godzilla issue 1, and if you couldn't tell, I really dug this book. I'm a big fan of superheroes, big fan of kaiju. So combining all that together is basically just an easy sell for me. The book does. The only flaws I have is that the book drops you into this universe full dive, so it's a lot of information to take in for a first read. That means this book, look, for $4.99, it feels pretty hefty. You feel like you get your bang for your buck with this issue. And again, not really a fan of how the coloring looked a bit washed in some scenes, but hey, the book just started. It can go in a lot of places, and I'm really excited to see how Jason, the rest of G-Force develop, how Godzilla is going to factor into more of this world, and of course, what the hell Lament's whole deal is. I'm giving this book a 4 out of 5. I thank you guys for watching, and as always, have a great day.